Hello. So, this video is to recap our story, to start from the beginning. Lots of people have asked me questions, and I think it's because we kind of jumped in the middle of this. So, this is just a quick recap. I met my husband, Josh, in high school. I was 15, he was 16, and we met at a high school homecoming game. He went to one school and I went to the other, and I actually sat on the other school's side. We did share some mutual friends who I told and insinuated that he was cute, and this one girl in particular, she knows who she is. She played matchmaker and hooked us up. The rest is pretty much history. We've been together ever since, and he's just amazing. This year was our 15th year together, and we've been married since 2014, and it's been great. Hard, but great. In 2010, I was finishing up my 4th year in college, and we decided that we were going to start trying to have a baby. After months and months of trying and not working, I sought out some help from my gynecologist and told her basically, I've been tracking on this app and I've used predictor kits, and every month is a negative pregnancy test. So after some blood tests and some scans, I was diagnosed with PCOS. PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Some of the some of the symptoms of this disorder, which is very still unknown. It's leaning towards being a genetic condition, but there's no cure. They believe it does happen in the womb, from some articles that I've read, but it has weight gain, male pattern balding, or male pattern hair growth, acne, infertility. Basically, every month, my ovaries overproduce follicles, and those follicles eventually will turn into eggs if they grow enough, and mine do not grow enough. So a normal woman would have 1 or 2 follicles. At any given time, I could have 16, 17. And instead of shedding those every month, as well as my lining, I don't. So I can go months without menstruating. This PCOS is usually an inconsistency of lost my train of thought. It's an inconsistency of insulin. Insulin is usually what regulates you, and so our first round of treatment was to take metformin, also known as glucophage, which is a type 2 diabetic medication. It was to hopefully regulate my insulin and kind of regulate my whole system. It worked for 1 or 2 months, but then I kind of went back to going months without menstruating. Therefore, my my follicles were turning into cysts, not causing any issues. They were small. They didn't rupture. They eventually would just kind of fall off, but they weren't growing. So then we tried the next step of infertility medication, and that was Clomid. It's very common. We started off at the lowest dose of 50 milligrams, and we worked our way up to 200 with no success, no progress. So then they brought us over to Femara, also known as letrozole. That's actually a breast cancer medication that they learned through using it for breast cancer patients that it actually increased infertility or increased fertility. So we tried that. We went from the smallest dose of 2.5 milligrams all the way up to 7.5, and No progress there. Eggs were always too small. So that brings us to where we are now. Over these past 8 years, I have had multiple tests that or procedures. They checked my tubes in HSG to check my tubes to make sure they weren't blocked and there was no polyps, and my lining and semen analysis, and everything was healthy. Other than my eggs not growing, everything looked perfect, or looks perfect. All of those procedures and treatments and nothing is covered by insurance. I'm just going to touch base on that real quick. There are 15 other states that do require health insurance to cover some sort of infertility treatment. I can name a few: New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maryland. The fact that they require the insurance companies to cover this medical condition is amazing. I get it. It's expensive. Trust me. But health insurance is for your health. And health insurance is to help you be the best healthy you can be. I was born with this. I didn't do anything to myself to make this happen. This was something that I was born with, that I've been dealing with. And I'm actually at a higher risk of cervical cancer because I don't shed my lining monthly, which is part of my condition. But when I pay $1,500 for a scan and $700 for a test and $200 for blood work, because the state of Florida won't mandate the insurance companies to cover this, it's beyond me. I pay for health insurance. I'm a taxpayer, and I actually pay a higher rate of health insurance than my husband, who's older than me, because I'm of childbearing ages. But yet they don't accept the fact that I can't have children, and nor will they assist in paying for me to try and have children. So I feel that the system is flawed and unfair. And if it wasn't for my family and my home and my secured job, I wouldn't be here. I would be moving to find a place where a state actually cares about their people and will assist in any way possible. So, jumping off of my rant of health insurance, all of this is on us. So, back in June, a coworker of mine was listening to the radio, and I had already at this point looked at IVF treatments, but knew right off the bat that it was going to be upwards of $15,000. Little did I know that it was more than that. But I knew I couldn't afford that. It was out of my card, isn't even worth that. So I kind of just put on the back burner and did some natural things that I thought I could be in control of. I bought, I don't have any with me, but I bought supplements offline. Any forum I read that this worked or that worked, I bought it. I tried. I did acupuncture. I loved it. Didn't really make a difference in my cycle, but was relaxing. I tried so many different supplements and herbals and stuff, and just nothing. It gave me hope, but that was about it. So in June, a coworker of mine heard on the radio on one of the stations that they were having a contest. And if you wrote into them your story, they would choose a winner by that story to get $5,000 off a IVF cycle at IVFMD. So I wrote into it in June and completely forgot about it. And then in September, I got an email that I was one of the semifinalists, and there was 5 semifinalists. So I had to actually go in for a consultation to meet with one of the doctors at the practice to go over any kind of medical treatments thus far and what was going on and yada, yada, yada. since I had already been through this over the past years, I had a stack of paperwork. All of my blood work, all of my procedures, all of my testing, so that they can go over that and they didn't have to duplicate any of that because they couldn't afford to duplicate any of that. So, with going over that, they did want to duplicate the semen analysis. They want to kind of do that once a year. It's about $200. At this point, that's kind of, I'll accept that compared to what I've been paying. But yes, I never got an answer on whether I won that or not. I just knew after meeting with Dr. Taylor at IVFMD that I wanted to proceed with treatment. However, we were going to pay for it. I wanted to do this. I needed to do this. I don't think I would ever forgive myself if I didn't at least go this far. And just meeting with her, she gave me so much hope. And I felt just, she was so genuine and sincere and honest, even though it was hurtful at times, very honest. So we decided to proceed. And that's when we put our heads together and we had to figure out a game plan of where we were going to get $23,000. And that's where we had a friend who helped us clear up our credit. If you're interested, message me. I will give you her contact. She was amazing. We did it within like 3 months. And then we were able to apply for a second mortgage based off the equity of our home, which lucky enough, it appraised high enough where we got $21,000 from that. And then the balance we took out of our 401k. And that brought us to cycle 1, which all videos after this show you that process, how grueling it was and emotional it was, and how it was a failure, and where we are right now. We'd love to start trying again in February. I say February because we need $13,500, and we are hoping with the $23,000 that we paid as a tax write-off, we will get a good amount of refund back. I'm not thinking it's going to cover the whole thing because that's a joke, but something. We're also holding on to whatever little bit of, we have our Christmas bonus, plus saving here and there, and we're probably looking at another loan at some point. Maybe put against the collateral of our car. But I just want everyone to know that this is what it is. This is not easy. This is not easy at this time of the year for sure. And it is such an emotional journey. I find myself randomly tearing up and crying for no reason. And if you know anyone that's struggling, I just want you to be careful with your words. The best thing you can do is ask them how they're doing and just be there for them. Don't tell them to relax. Don't tell them that it's in God's hands. I can't express this enough. For someone who is going through it day in and day out, who is physically seeing themselves not do what it's supposed to do, getting it off your mind is not possible. Not possible. You just, it's always there in the back of your mind. And I have sat in my bathroom with a negative pregnancy test that I broke apart in pieces to study it because I was so convinced it was wrong, that there was no way that this is happening. And when you're trying not to think about it, that's when you think about it the most. So just be there for them. Ask them if they need anything. Take them out to lunch. Try to get their mind off of it for a little bit. But just watch your words. The best thing you could do is be there. So to conclude this 15-minute video, which I'm sure no one will watch it past 2 minutes, we have a GoFundMe. We used to have a GoFundMe. I actually concluded that campaign. That was the beginning part of our journey when we were looking to figure out what was going on and hopefully it worked through pills. But since we've already been through IVF cycle 1, which was all out of pocket, this is journey continuing. So I made a second new and only GoFundMe account. I'll put the link in the box below. I'm new to YouTube. And I think sharing is so important. The minimum you can donate on GoFundMe is $5 because I would accept $1, but the minimum is $5. But if this gets to 800 people and everyone donated $5, I mean, $5, I donate anytime I can. And I know it's hard. It's Christmas time, and in general, life isn't easy. But we need this. And I think sharing means a lot to us. And if you just take the time to share it, you have done us a great favor. And hopefully come February, we will be able to collect enough funds or borrow enough money from the banks and everything we have to give this another go. Okay, guys, well, thank you for watching, and hopefully you made it to 16.5 minutes. And make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever. All right, have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.